Welcome to the Good Hang podcast for your weekly dose of battery filling conversation. I'm your host, Julian Corrado. Super stoked to be here. And this is my co-host, Ariane.
Hello.
We're doing another duo episode.
Mm-hmm.
I love these. I love these check-ins.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
It's nice to talk to all these guests, but I find it's fun to come back to this. This is how it all started. It's just me and you talking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're wrapping up the first season.
Crazy.
So that's pretty crazy. It's interesting to do a project like that. Like it's you meet a lot of people and it feels like it's like these compressed moments of like creating content and editing content, but then also so many beautiful battery filling conversations that I kind of want to make sure that like I've really taken it all in and like reflected on all the things that we got to chat about.
I'm stoked that you coined the term battery filling conversation because everybody has a podcast.
Yeah.
And when people ask like, what's it about? Or, what's different? Why would this be interesting? And the battery filling conversation aspect is just, it's so true. We don't all have these types of conversations with everyone, and to be able to kind of line up all these people and feel like, not only do I not feel alone, I feel understood, I feel empowered, inspired, and it's just been really cool.
Yeah, inspired, curious. Yeah, it is funny because I'm assuming it's almost like the audacity to say our conversations are battery filling, but it's just different, of course, from like a venting conversation or like gossiping pop culture conversation. Like those can be fun, but battery filling just has this feeling whole kind of feeling. And at the same time, it's like, we can't force that feeling onto the listeners, but that's how I've been feeling. So it was interesting because doing the pod kind of like reinforced this idea that we had from the get-go of like, okay, who do I sit down with and end those chats and just feel like wired and let's freaking go,
Well, and a lot of times we say like, I don't want this to be necessarily heavy, or we want to go lighter, or and I get the same thing like in music. A lot of times the subjects can be just dark, but how to make not light of them, but just move through life a bit lighter. And with these conversations, sometimes they take turns that I'm like, oh, is this too heavy? But it's like, no, that's when I realized that. Yeah, we're all dealing with them, with those subjects.
Yeah, for sure.
And now I forget, like, did we talk about this last time we did a duo episode?
I don't think so.
No? Nice. I don't want to be repeating myself.
No, I know. But yeah, what are some of the topics that we talked about that like got you thinking afterwards, like, oh, I hadn't thought about this before. I don't know, something that stuck.
Well, it's cool to see how, it's easy to bandy about buzzwords, manifestation and empowerment, but it's true. Like when you can take the time to envision what it is that you're wanting to do and then try to lock into it, not necessarily just buckle down and put your head down, but like let yourself open to these possibilities, you have more of a chance of them happening.
Yeah. I think it's like the specific goal versus being on the journey of like, I'm doing all these things that feel really good, and this is what I want my life to feel like. Like I want it to feel good. And I think that's what you're chasing. Like instead of like an actual specific goal, it's like, I want my life to feel fulfilling. I want it to feel good. And this feels, therefore I'm on the right path.
It is tough to find purpose in life.
Yeah.
Like I find we're heavily bombarded with information at all times. And it's like, it pulls us in every direction. It makes us feel inadequate. Like we're not where we'd like to be. We're not like, you look around, this person has this person has that. But in recent times, I'm just realizing, I feel like there's a lot of things that I don't have, or that I'm underachieving in certain things. And then I'm like, if I look at my life from an outside perspective and I'm thinking, I'm healthy, I have a healthy partner. I have healthy children. I have a job. I have a roof. Like, it's all good. It's really all good. And it doesn't mean that not to strive for better but to not make better, make us lose sight of that we're already good, you know? Mm-hmm. But
I mean, Samantha, who's on our pod, once said to me, one foot in, I forget.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
1 foot in gratitude, 1 foot in desire. So it's being super appreciative of what's around you and being like, I see this, like I'm not taking it for granted, but I want to have purpose and I want to have drive and I want to keep it moving. But I think it's not being attached to the result of what your efforts are going to do. Like even with this is such a good example of like, oh, why are you doing a podcast? Why do you think this is going to lead to anything? Why would you do it when there's so many other people doing a podcast? And it's just like, well, this is something that while I'm doing it, I'm having a great time. I get to connect with all these beautiful people and I'm zero attached to what needs to happen and where it goes. I'm more so attached to the artistic creativity and like, am I still excited about this? Am I still excited about the conversations do I think it's beautiful? Like, is it everything that I want it to be? And that's what I'm excited about. It's like, I get to create something because for so long I was like, pitching these ideas of television shows or podcasts that I want other people to see. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to just do it. I'm going to just do it myself. And then I get to see it and I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like, yeah. It's, I like to create things that I want to consume, to be fair.
Well, you know, in music, if you're creating something for the audience, then you've lost already a big part of the essence.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to consume what it is that you're creating.
Yeah.
I just want to get high on my own supply.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I always joke that it's like, I love like thinking of silly or like cool ideas for things, but I wish someone would just do it so I don't have to do it. Like, like I like just want to pitch it and then someone else can do the sketch or put it in a commercial or something. Cause I'm like, I don't want to have to do all the things, but I will say in the case of this, I'm happy we're the ones doing it together because it's exactly what I had envisioned for it to be. So it's been really cool.
Do you think we're going to do a second season?
I hope so. It would be cool. Yeah. I also have ideas. Like, I don't like we talked about, because it's like time and everything, but I'd love to dive into different types of content and storytelling. Like I've always had this idea of doing like kind of a food show where we like go to different neighborhoods and have a guest and then show them 3 different spots that are like key spots in those neighborhood, but overall it's still like a hang. You know, it's like focused on that. I think that's like the essence of everything I do. Like I just got back from Toronto and I know you're going this weekend. And it's funny because there was a time in my life where Toronto was like travel, like it was like, what are you going to do when you're there? And now I just have like all my comedy homies and it feels like home. Like I go to the comedy bar and all the people I haven't seen in a while, they're not like, whoa, what you been up to? We just kind of start chatting about random shit, like as if we had hung out the day before. And 90% of my days were like me walking around with Michelle and just shooting a shit. And like you said, like going from like giggling, like, wouldn't this be funny to be like, this is my childhood was like, you know?
Yeah. And then crying about
like
something.
Trauma dumping. And then be like, anyways, let's have coffee. Like, it's just
all this before coffee.
It's like my favorite thing to do no matter where I am in the world. It's connecting with people. And recently I really realized that like my favorite art form is storytelling. It's just like someone telling me a good fucking story where I'm like locked in, and it doesn't have to be funny. It just has to ring through to them and they're engaging and like, yeah. And I'm present and I'm just like, tell me more. Like, yeah.
Yeah. If only we could do this, not work.
I mean, yeah. So what else are you looking forward to? Like this summer, is there anything? Yeah.
Well, we got some shows coming up.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
We're doing more acoustic shows.
Oh, how come?
I find that even though we're just a 2-piece band, the Flamingos Pink, I think that we we make a lot of noise, and I find that by stripping it back, it makes it even more, I don't want to say relatable, but an acoustic guitar, some dude singing with an acoustic guitar, anybody can relate to that. You know what that sounds like.
Almost less like distracting, I mean, Sasha has such a powerful voice as well.
But by stripping it down, I find we really anchor that point, that he's got that powerful of a voice, because when everything is going and there's two guitar amps, a bass amp, and the drums, and me moving around and just being hectic, and Sash, being hectic as well. It's like there's so much going on. One of the biggest things, people say afterwards is like, you're only two people. That was so much noise for two people. That's crazy. And we both take pride in that. It's like, yeah, because we're really going at it. But by stripping it to its bare bones, I think you really see the essence of like how strong his voice is, and how the interaction between both of us as musicians, but ultimately as friends, really comes across, and I'm really looking forward to playing more acoustic shows. And then now I'm itching for the electric. I want to throw bricks around.
Yeah.
But I find that this podcast, just hanging out with so many different people, has helped me realize what my gift is and kind of sharpen it.
Tell me.
Well, when you're playing drums, you're in a trance, and when I get to the mic to say something, I'm like, because there's so much energy, and I'm just like, it's all coming out. And at the same time, I feel like I'm saying so much through my movement and through my drumming. And so I always feel like I'm saying a lot, but I realize I'm not using my words when I'm on stage. So that I'm looking forward to kind of applying that mindfulness to the shows, that aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's
funny because like I've seen you perform like quite a few times by now, and like it's funny because to me you're both equally leading men and the space that you take and whatnot. But I could see how like traditionally it's almost like we think of like Travis Barker or something. It's like, oh no, the drummer like hates talking. Like it's like he's the drummer because he's shy, or he's the drummer because, but like they're all full human beings, which I'm sure many things to say. But it's often, if you think of like, Much Music or whatever, like always interviewing like the lead singer. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, maybe that's definitely been, I think I've always been a flamboyant person. I've always been outgoing, and drums is kind of it's complementary to that, or it can be, in the sense that you need to be the ground, the soil in which the flowers grow. We all look at the lead singer and be like, oh, he's the most beautiful flower, but without the drummer, he can't, you got to have a beat that's held the fuck down in order to let everyone else run wild, So being both those things with the Flamingos Pink, and having a bandmate that I've never felt that Sash felt threatened by my flamboyance. And that's been, I think, a testament to our friendship, but also his feeling and sense of, no, this is what I do, and this is what he does, and this is what makes us special.
Have you ever felt some type of shadow or shame about being that big person? Like as if you have to...
100%. I think I've rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Wow.
Yeah, in being that outgoing, so and like, part of it is tough to control. And now that I'm older, I think it's easier.
Yeah, but I also think it's like, I've been having these conversations. I have a lot of friends that take up space, and it's finding your tribe who's going to allow you to shine the brightest, Like I have a lot of friends who battle with that. Yeah, I get called a show off, or I take up too much space, or I speak too much. And I struggle with this even now with this podcast. Like every time we're posting a clip, I'm like, I'm taking up too much space on the internet.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, fuck that. There's so much.
But it's true, because the people who want to hear you, they will. And even you can have, the people who watch it every now and then sometimes you won't see them for a while, versus there's some people, they're like, give me your energy every day. I love that energy. But I think it's interesting because that thing that you're ashamed of or feel like you had to dim, that's stronger than you is always, I think, your superpower.
Yeah, straight up. Because if someone is asking you to dim what comes so naturally to you, they're not your real friends.
Yeah.
They're not your real friends.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is a really tough lesson to learn.
Yeah. Well, also because one thing that came up in the conversation with Sam just now, I don't think I had enough coffee today. I'm like, my brain keeps forgetting what I'm talking about. But the idea of like, you'll have to dim yourself. Then if ever in your life, okay, I got it. If ever in your life you experience where you were being what you thought was yourself and then people rejected you, then you start rejecting that side of yourself. So I often like, okay, this is like kind of sad, but I had this very specific moment when I was younger where I don't know what grade I was in, but I brought all these girls to my house in Léry for my birthday. My parents like organized something really special, brought them to an island, brought them to a church party, you know, like just showed them like a really good time. And they had such a good time. And then on Monday when I came to school, I like came up to hang out with them and they were like, oh, we were talking, we decided we don't want you in the crew anymore. And like after using me, and I felt like so hurt, so rejected, obviously like that's not the kind of people you want in your life, but it's hard to not go back to that moment in your life every time a little something happens. And I think they were all like really creative people. And I connected to the thing that like, oh, I don't get to be creative. Like I don't have what it takes to be creative. And it's funny because now I live in a world where I'm surrounded with creatives all the time. And I often kind of play the role of like, I empower others to be creative, but I have so much shadow. And I think that those other creators don't want me to be creative because that's what I experienced in the past. But I think that's now something I'm holding on to. That's absolutely not true. Because if anything, like people like Eva, people like you have like pushed me to even Patrick be on the pod for 2 seconds. He's like, tell people that you write, you know, like, yeah. But I think it's hard to
finding
get out of
your group of friends, but that's trial and error. And unfortunately as well, you know, kids are brutal, you know, and I think we've all been on the receiving end and we've all been on the dishing out end.
That's true.
And some of us more than others and different phases, different, you know, it is hard though. I get what you mean. Sometimes it's hard when your brain kind of brings you back to this time.
Or you don't even really realize it. Like you're just kind of like, no, like, or like there's just some resistance there. And you're like, oh, what is this resistance?
But that's why that in one of the episodes of the pod, I spoke about a meditation about transporting yourself to like these different points in time. And almost going back in time as you now and going to that little person that's experiencing these things that may be hurtful or confusing or whatever, and saying like, you're okay. You're gonna be okay. I'm here for you. You're gonna be this. You're gonna do this. It's gonna be hard for this reason and it's gonna be good for this reason. But being able to kind of tell ourselves that it's gonna be okay, that a lot of times people express hurt because they're hurt, you know, and they don't know how to fix it for themselves. And sometimes all we know is to recreate what it is that we've been through. It takes, I think, an immense amount of self-awareness to go like, hey, let me stop this cycle.
Yes. I mean, it goes back to the conversation we had with Megan, which was really interesting about fixing that relationship with your parents and having the tools that they didn't have, which she said with an impeccable vocabulary that I'm not going to repeat.
Yeah.
But do you feel now, like as a father, like that idea of when, you know, your daughters might face something upsetting at school, or do you feel like you will have the power to deal with those situations in a different way that your parents would have dealt with it?
Interesting question, because I felt like my mom was the one that I could talk to about all of my feelings, and she would really help guide me into realizing that I have the answers within me. And after she died, you know, I think it was very hard for me to find that. I felt very lost, but ultimately, similar to Elsa in Frozen.
Yes. Lots of similarity, lots of parallels.
Lots of parallels. But that, you know, that voice inside of you has the answers as long as you know what questions to ask, you know, and you have to be open to hard truths. You can't just be like, oh, nobody likes me because of this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but what are you doing? You know, what is the part that you can control?
Yeah.
But also, what is the part that you can't control? And learning to differentiate between the two, I think, is great wisdom. I believe that is the Serenity Prayer.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
In like AA or in NA.
Yeah.
What
you can't control. Okay,
Yeah.
I've heard this before.
I'm butchering it, but yeah, to know the difference, but to focus on what you can control, let go of what you can't, and to have the wisdom to know between the two. And that's, I think, the best way to kind of create space and be like, okay, let me focus on what I can control, and to hell with the rest of it. You know, like I've had people who have shitty opinions of me, but I realize that
let's go beat them up.
But I realize that only holds weight if I believe what they're saying. So it's like, if I'm triggered because someone says something bad about me, it's most likely because I think that of myself. If I didn't, I'd be like, what is this person talking about?
Yeah.
You know
Not
what
for
I mean?
1 second.
No,
Absolutely. And then I'm like, and then you have to, like, they have these exercises where like you say it to yourself in the mirror until either you're triggered to it makes you cry, either where it's like to the point where it's like laughable because you're like, obviously I'm not a complete failure. Like, that's wild, you know?
Yeah.
But
to have gotten this far and be a complete failure, it's like,
that's
chill
it.
out,
It's
man.
laughable. But then in another way, in that moment, you're like, this is what these people think about. There's this one meditation I do where it's like, they say, imagine yourself in a room full of all of the people that you admire and everyone you love. And then you're walking up on stage to get like a prize. And then the person who's introducing you says the most mean thing they could possibly say about you. And then to like reflect on what is that thing and why is it that specifically. And I think it's funny because now that like we're so open to all this like kind of mindset stuff, we know that many people are doing it, but you would assume everyone would say the same thing, but actually no. Like we all have really different stories, really different blocks, really different things that we're going through. And sometimes it's through talking them out, journaling, or doing these kinds of meditations that you unlock it. But it's so funny to me because I was speaking this weekend to my friend Michelle about spirituality. I do consider myself a spiritual being, but if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, like, I would say no, because I think no, but not even that, because I would assume spiritual equals religion, you know, and I don't go to church. And that being said, I always had a lot of friends like Filipinos around me who are like are attached to a religious background. Same thing with my Muslim friends. But if anything, growing up in Quebec, like my parents almost like rejected Catholicism. I don't know how to say it.
Catholicism, but which is a part of Christianity.
Yeah, like because it was something that was really traumatizing in their childhood, and I remember like going to church. I don't remember any songs, any prayer. Like I think maybe because also in French it just adds this layer of like you have to be a wordsmith to understand the meaning versus this prayer you just told me like I understand it the first time. But if like mon père, I'm like, okay.
Do you know that I was a altar server? I was an altar boy for like 18 years.
18 years? So
or like 17 years. I went to, until I was 17 years old. So I went to church every Sunday for years. But I think that is from, you know, the immigrant background.
I think that's yeah.
It's a different. Everyone is, depending on where you come from. Yeah. You have a different level of religion. You know, that's but kind of
regardless.
Thrust upon
it's
you.
like now my connection to spirituality and mindset is what's keeping me going. Because if I didn't have journaling, then I could revert to everything is negative in my life. But having something that I know, whether it's the universe, whether it's God, whatever, I know I'm being protected. I know everything I desire is orbiting me. I know I'm safe. I know I'm held. But it's having those beliefs in life itself that allows me to live a positive life and everything. So it's kind of interesting now to
religion
see how it's transitioned into something that's equally powerful, is just said in a different way. Yeah.
That's what I like about, I think it's easy to get lost in spirituality as well.
Yeah.
But I think, and not to say that people who don't believe in anything are lesser than, like, not at all. But I just think that spirituality, or that feeling of feeling connected to your surroundings, is very important, because I think we're completely dependent on our parents. As human babies, we would just die. And we're pushed to become very independent. But I think the next step is being interdependent, and realizing that within my independence and within me becoming my own whole person is when I can then become interdependent and work synergetically with others, and the best version that I can be is the one that can help someone else be the best version that they can be.
Yeah.
And then working together, you're much more than just the sum of two. It's tenfold.
Yeah. It's funny because we started the pod about talking about how it's hard to find purpose, but I think it's hard to find purpose when purpose is attached to tangible goals and individual mindset. Like, I gotta have these things that other people don't, or like I have to achieve those things to feel good, versus when your ultimate purpose is to feel connected with yourself, to feel connected to others, that you could just be every day.
Yeah. And I find, what I find cool is with the podcast too, we talk about all these uplifting things, and again with the buzzwords, but I think it's important to tell people that even though that's what we strive for, we have days that are hard sometimes, days where you feel like, wow, I'm a failure, and wow, nothing is working out. But those are the moments, I believe, where you have to say, okay, hold up. Maybe there's some veracity, like, I don't know if that's a word. Maybe there's something true about that feeling, but obviously not being
not the whole picture.
Exactly. And it's more like maybe a call for evolution, and being like, okay, well, listen to what your mind is telling you, and now what? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
But
it's checking in.
Yeah.
All right. I want to wrap up this episode with my new segment that we made up that we haven't really been consistent about, but just for fun. Do you have a crush and an ick of the week?
I remembered my ick that I forgot last time.
Okay, start with that.
Can I start with it?
Yeah.
This person, I had this interaction where the reaction of the person meeting me was, ugh, another cisgendered white male with kids.
Oh.
How original. And I looked at that person and I was like, how dare you assume my sexuality? How dare you assume all these things and label me as you see me, and how dismissive that is. And I was like, you're really pigeonholing me in something that, okay, maybe I appear as that to you, and maybe I appear as that to others, but I'm so many more things.
Yeah.
I have so many more different facets. And I find that I know that there's swings of pendulums, and I'm not ranting on people who want to have different pronouns and different, like, do what makes you feel good. But hyper labeling is not the solution for me. Like, to be told, like, hey, here is all your labels according to me. I find you're showing me how limited you are by describing my labels to me.
Yeah, no, but it's like projection.
Yeah.
Like,
anyway, that was a huge ick. And I was like, I was proud of myself though. I didn't react. I was just like, huh.
But also, I feel like I do this all the time. I'm like, finance bro. Like I think And then I got to learn to stop doing that too. It's like, and because again, it's a projection. It's like I'm projecting onto him what I don't want it, like, not that people would ever think that of me, but like that.
Oh, finance, bro.
I wish. No, but that I don't want him to judge me. So I'm judging them, you know, but no, I completely get it. And I think it is an ick, but we have to catch ourselves when we're doing it too. Cause it's fucking easy.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I was surprised that someone could just blatantly like throw that out.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my ick.
Okay, I'll go with my ick and complete other level. I hate tying my shoes. It sucks.
Get Velcro shoes then. Get Velcro shoes.
I like the look of the shoes, but like it bums me out. Like it just bums me out. And so I'll try not to like just shove my foot in the shoe and it hurts my finger.
Yeah. I know exactly.
So I did get this thing on Amazon.
The shoehorn?
Game changer. Yeah. So I wish we had
that's what my dad had a shoehorn.
Same, like, but I thought it was because he couldn't get to his shoe, you know? But
yeah, because they have long ones too.
Yeah, so I like the laces, but tying my shoes makes me really unhappy, and I wish I didn't have to do it anymore.
Wow.
Gives me the ick. What about your crush?
What about my crush? Oatmeal.
You know what's crazy?
Oatmeal.
My other ick was going to be oat milk.
It's funny. I was like, I had a oat milk phase, but then I was like, je sais pas. It's not.
It tastes like leftover oatmeal. That's
Do you not like oatmeal?
I like oatmeal. Mm-hmm. No, I like oatmeal. I like to put some berries. Like it's such an easy, I think I didn't have some today, but it's such an easy, like when I'm trying to eat intuitively, like it's something good, fills you up, peanut butter.
Exactly.
Amazing.
I put it with, I put honey on it.
Putting the rest of your oatmeal into my latte. No, that's
yeah.
I don't get it. I think it's trendy, but okay, that's a good crush. I'd say, my crush of the week, and to finish, actually, on the way here, I was listening to Andre 3000's Flute album.
I have not listened to it yet.
It's so chill. Like, I love it because sometimes I listen to meditation when I need to calm down. Sometimes I listen to music when I'm like trying to get in the vibe, and sometimes just silence if like my thoughts are going off. But his album, like I listened to it on the subway, and it just like grounded me in a way that I just like felt happy and like calm. Yeah,
I'm going to go listen to it. I'm going to go listen to it right now.
Well, thank you for the hang.
Thank you. This was a great hang.
Yay.
Good hang. So this is the end of season 1. Good hang. Thank you very much.